and then we will make sure that you get this great content afterwards. But I'll let um I'll let Michael take it away. But thanks all for being here, and there you go.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that warm introduction, Michelle. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you to the Loyalsnap team for the opportunity to have this webinar for everyone and for the community. So hello, everyone, and thank you very much for investing your time to jump on today with us. And welcome to my world of digital ads. In the next 30 to 45 minutes, I'm really excited, guys, to share with you how you can unleash the power of fitter, healthier, and happier ads to accelerate the growth of your community. And at the very end, I'm going to uncover even more ways I can create more value for you in your fitness business. So if you're ready to go, please jump into the comments. I really want jump into the chat and comment G for grow. I really want this interactive. There's going to be definitely time for Q&A at the very end, but if you do have some burning questions along the way, feel free to ask those questions in the chat. But please put G for grow in the comments in the chat, and let's go. Let's get started. All right, but to begin with, what I'd like to do is start with a couple of case studies just to really highlight, guys, why the stuff that I'm teaching you is super, super important. Now, I want to show you a couple of case studies that this is a boutique gym, and they were able to convert in just a short time $1,500 of ad spend to $46,000 of lifetime value of memberships with their business through what I'm actually going to show you, the methods that we implemented for this particular studio. I'm going to teach you exactly that. So 1 month, $1,500 in ad spend, generated 81 leads. They sold 7 members, converted 7 members. They covered their ad spend at the very beginning with $1,700. So they're already in front, and $46,000 of lifetime value, which is absolutely incredible. And they're a boutique offering, right? So, you know, this is more of a high-end service. And it still works for this particular client. And here's another one, which is more of a standard group training studio. And they, over a 5-month period, were able to convert 80 new members, again, through the methods that I'm going to teach you today. They spent $6,000 on their ad spend, and they converted that $6,000 ad spend into $144,000
This
of
is a digital
lifetime.
marketing company webinar that I just logged into.
Hey, gang, just a couple rules of the road. Just make sure that you put yourself on mute, and we will save all those questions for the end.
Perfect. All good. So this is like, again, incredible case study. $6,000 ad spend converted into $144,000 of lifetime value. So great results, and I'll show you exactly how we're able to achieve it for these guys. But to begin with, guys, if you don't know me, I just wanted to share a little bit about me and my journey. So you can get to know me first. So pre-2019, 5 years ago, I almost knew nothing about ads, right? So I was working a typical 9-to-5 corporate job. My name is Michael Friedman, in case you didn't get that at the very beginning. I was working a 9-to-5 corporate job. I was working at Coca-Cola Amatil and a few other places for 15 years. But I was sort of felt I was stuck, you know, I was stuck in that corporate job, a lot of red tape. I didn't feel I could create a bigger impact in the world. And so that's what I really felt a desire to do. I already had a passion for fitness. I had a passion for digital marketing, and I wanted to align those two passions. And I decided to make a change 5 years ago. And post 2019, I dedicated my entire life to mastering the art of lead generation, digital ads in fitness and wellness. And this is me 5 years ago when I just got started. Again, had no bloody idea what I was doing, but I dove right in and I learned the craft. And since then, I worked with hundreds of gyms and studios globally. I built and managed thousands of ad campaigns personally, and I founded Superfit Grow, which is we're a digital advertising company working with gyms and studios worldwide with a focus on lead generation to accelerate membership growth. And look, it wasn't always smooth sailing. I found a lot of problems along the way. The challenges were we were able to generate a lot of leads, but we still found that a lot of gym owners and studio owners were wasting money on ineffective ad campaigns. There was inconsistent lead generation in general, and more importantly, conversion rates were low. It was one thing to be able to generate leads and have great performance on your ad campaign, but for me, that just wasn't enough. I wanted to actually see the studios to actually grow their membership base through the digital advertising efforts. So not just generate leads, but actually convert those leads into members. So, that was a big problem for me. How do we get better results? And so over the course of 5 years, I spent well over $100,000 in mentorship, courses and coaching, and through a lot of practice, really honed in on that craft. And talking about practice, well, I dedicated over 15,000 hours during that time to fitness and wellness ads, managing thousands of ad campaign, and really managed over $10 million in ad spend during that time. So a lot of work. And this is me on the right-hand side at the end of my first 100-mile event. So I'm a passionate long-distance trail runner, and this is the first time I competed in a 100-mile event. And this took me 27 hours, and I was suffering a hip flexor injury as well, but I managed to finish it anyway. So I sort of highlight this because I learned what it takes to really go the distance. And I've done the same thing in relation to going the distance with putting the time and work into digital advertising to find out what works. And I developed through that process a proven system that does bring consistent higher quality leads, lower cost per lead, building ad campaigns that actually convert into members and those leads into members, and really generating those consistent leads without wasting budget. And so let's talk a little bit more about you guys. This is why we're on the call, less about me. So what is the big problem? What's the problem that we all have right now? So I want to ask you guys in the chat, please list what's the #1 problem you're experiencing right now with your paid ads and lead generation. Please put it in the chat. And Michelle, I'm sure we'll be able to read out a few. What's the #1 problem you're experiencing with your paid ads and lead gen?
Kevin talks about high CPLs, cost per lead. And,
Yep.
I also, when I was working with agencies for my studios, sometimes I would literally find errors that they were just literally duplicating the same content for another brand. And I'm like, wait, this call to action link actually is bringing you to a whole nother brand's website. So it was very disheartening that I felt like very much of like a copy paste entity for them. And it didn't feel personalized.
100%, 100%.
There's getting leads booked into a class, and then Facebook and management software isn't my favorite. I mean,
No, it can be very, very technical, absolutely. High lead cost, very, very common. The average lead cost, believe it or not, in the industry is about $60 to $70 cost per lead, which is extremely high, extremely high. So imagine what you could do to actually reduce that by half. You have double the lead flow. Anyone else? Any other issues with your paid ads and lead gen? The high lead cost is definitely one. So we all
yeah.
want who wants more leads, lower lead costs, higher quality leads, better conversions, improved lifetime value. The answer is yes, you're in the right place. We all want these things. So we're going to show you ways to actually achieve that. So in today's session, guys, I'm going to reveal exactly how I do it, how you can implement the exact same strategies to grow your membership base faster and a lot more efficiently. And all it comes down to this method. But before we go into the method, let's use a bit of an analogy around health and fitness, because we all love health and fitness, I'm sure. So, and I'd love to know what your main type of workout is. Do you enjoy running? Do you enjoy group training? Do you enjoy CrossFit? Please put it in the chat. Would love to know a little bit more about you, what you enjoy. But we can all agree that there's 3 important things to really get fit and healthy. You need regular exercise, diet, nutrition, and you need sleep and recovery, among many other things. But if you walk into a gym, of course, without the correct guidance and support or a personal trainer, we know it's going to be a lot more challenging to achieve sustainable results. And again, I use that example from my miler. I had a running coach during that time, and he was able to provide me a program and support during that time around nutrition as well, tips around recovery from injury. And maybe if I didn't have that coach, I wouldn't be able to achieve the result that I did in completing that miler. So it's important to have a personal trainer and the support and a program. Similar with your advertising, you need a strategy to support you to get the results. Without a strategy, it does all fall apart. And I'm going to reveal what that method is in a moment, but I've developed this very simple 4-step process to be able to create ads for you guys that at a lower lead cost, improves lead to member conversion, better quality leads. But I'm going to pause before I jump into this method and tell you why this is important. Now, everyone's probably familiar with this photograph here. You've got the typical iceberg, and on the surface, ads looks simple, right? It's simple. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and it looks simple. You've got some copy, you got some creatives. You know, I can whip that up in 5 minutes. And in fact, of course you can. You can go into ChatGPT these days, write a few things, and it'll come up with an ad for you. And you can put that on there on the platform in a few minutes. But is it going to be effective? I'll question that. Will it really be effective? Will you be able to get sustainable results? And really, effective ads is really hindered on a solid strategy. And that 90% of the work that gets put in to have effective ads is the strategy. And that's all the heavy work underneath. You put that work underneath, ads becomes a lot simpler. And I'd like to Ads also is all about making sure that you stand out from the crowd. Now, if there's any Matrix fans in the room, put an X in the chat. I'm a big fan of the Matrix, so that's why I'm using this photograph here. Everyone would remember the woman in the red dress scene. And when you tailor your messaging specifically to your niche, it's like the woman in the red dress. It stands out and captures attention. And we have to do that with our advertising, but we have to capture the right type of attention as well. And I'll explain a little bit more about what that means. So I'm going to use a couple of polarizing examples here. I'm going to show you a simple messaging strategy or simple messaging versus a more of an effective messaging. Now you can see here in this example, and of course this is that going back to that orange shoe case study that we shared earlier on. And here you can see very, very simple messaging where the copy is simply transform your body at orange shoe, offering customized workouts. So you can see here, I'm using a very simple example. It's very, very broad. We're trying to appeal to anyone and everyone. We're not focused on a specific audience. There's really no emotional connection here. And the goals are quite vague. It's simply transform your body. There's really no personal relevance here, and there's no clear solution or a clear offer. And then, of course, the creative on the right-hand side there is not really enticing. I think you can agree. You got the lady there facing her back to the camera. I'm not very excited about this. It doesn't stand out from the crowd. As an opposing example here with orange shoe as well, and this goes back to the case study, this is highlighting more of an effective messaging. And I won't read out the whole copy, but just the first couple of lines here where it says, attention, late country mums, don't miss this chance to reclaim your strength and energy with our 6-week Super Mums Strength Transformation. Feeling drained from balancing family, work, and life and struggling to find time for yourself? Now's your chance to prioritize you to feel stronger, more energized, and confident in your own skin again. So what are your thoughts, guys? Very, very different type of example here. Here we are speaking to a specific audience. You know, it directly speaks to a niche, being busy mums. So it's a lot more personal, addresses pain points, their struggles, time constraints, lack of energy. And then we've got a very clear solution, feeling stronger. And then we have a creative here that, again, stands out from the crowd, very, very similar to that woman in the red dress. What are your thoughts, guys? Quite different from that previous example. So we want our ads to stand out from the crowd, but to be able to do that, we need an effective strategy. So how can we craft effective campaigns to stand out and really attract the right prospect to your business? We don't just want anyone. We want the right type of members coming into our community, because if the right type of people walk through the doors and sign up, they're obviously going to stay a lot longer. And we want to build that incredible community. So the RBBL method. So pay attention, please write this down, guys. You've got a pen and paper, grab that, write this down. The RBBL method. It stands for research, brainstorm, build, and learn. It's a simple 4-phase process. And if you apply this to your campaign and your business, this is the absolute key to unlocking incredible results with your ad campaigns. So let's dive right into the first step, which is research. So what are we doing here? So very simply, we are finding out who your audience is and what they care about. Why? Because we want to make sure your ad emotionally connects with the right type of people. And we've got to remember that people generally buy based on emotion, they don't buy on logic. And so we've got to create that emotional connection. And the whole industry, this fitness industry, is all built on emotion. It's emotional connection. And that's what we want to achieve here. And so when it all comes down to it, there's a lot of things you can do from a research perspective. And of course, you don't need to do this step every single time you create a new campaign. This might be once every 3 to 6 months, right? And the rest of the steps you can do each time you do a campaign. But from a research perspective, really, there's two core elements. There's everything about you and there's everything about the client. We need to understand ourselves and we need to understand our clients. And of course, outside of that, there is creative trends, competitor analysis, industry reports. So we want to look just outside our four walls as well to gather that information to, understand what the competition is doing, but not get distracted by the competition. From a client side, guys, very, very simple. We need to understand demographics, psychographics, needs, pains, problems, desires, what our ideal type of avatars, what their behaviors are, what their interests are, and where they're from, right? Where do they live, right? Because in order for us to target more effectively, if we don't understand this, then our advertising campaigns are going to be far too broad. And again, we're not going to attract the right type of person in. So how do we gather this information? Well, pretty simple. We talk to our members. So if we already have a big community, then just by talking to members and understanding who they are, what they're about, why they signed out, what problems that they had before they walked in the door, what their experience has been like, really understanding our clients and our members, then we'll be able to build up that profile. So that's the first step. And then second step is really gathering all the information about yourself. So really going deep about who you are. So first of all, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? What's your mission, vision, and values? So what do you stand for? Listing all your services. So all your tangibles and intangibles. So what does a new client receive when they walk in the door? Do they get a welcome pack? So, and what is the experience like? What is the mental and wellness experience like? So all the different types of services your clients receive. And that could be outside just your typical training program. It could be some of the ancillary products that you sell as well. Having a look at the different types of offers that you have promoted previously. So listing all the different types of offers that you've worked organic and paid, putting that on a page. Brand identity. So brand identity, really important. If you don't have a brand guideline, definitely worth investing time into that so you can actually be consistent with your approach when you go to market. That includes obviously your brand tone, your voice, your colors and styles, keywords and phrases that really identify who you are. And again, your mission, vision, and values. And then any other data that you've got about you. So sales data are really, really important. Again, going back to why your members signed up in the first place, really understanding that and seeing that pattern, why they joined. So any other sales data, and then again, like I mentioned earlier, competitor analysis, industry reports, and creative trends. All of that research is done on one session, and it's really like, again, getting it all down on a page so you've got a full understanding of who you are. Step 2, take a deep breath, go to sleep, do some exercise, all right? And in a completely separate session, this is where we want to brainstorm. This is a time where we want to get up in the morning, we've gone and had some exercise, and we get together as a team, and this is what we do in the morning when we're fresh and we've got our creative hat on. It's a completely separate session, guys. And so this is where we want to be fun, we want to be creative, we want to go into a different space. Maybe we want to get outside of the gym and find a different space, because going into that different environment will help those creative juices flow. Very, very important. So what are we doing here? We're coming up with ideas for your ads messaging, look and feel. And why? We would basically want to create something that grabs attention and interests people. That's what we're trying to achieve here. So there's a few things that we can do here from a brainstorming perspective, and we've got to understand who we're talking to first. So we've done our research on our members. Now what we want to do is we want to distill that into key audience buckets. What is 1, 2, 3 maximum 4? But I would recommend starting at 2. 2 key audience buckets of the ideal groups of members that we are talking to. You know, is it mums between 35 to 45? Is it busy professionals over 50? Is it kids? Is it teens? Like, what are those 2 key audience groups that we're going to talk to? Because once we understand that, then we can actually align the rest of our campaign to those audience groups. So really, really super important. Now, once we understand that, we want to research what's my offer. All right, what are we offering those prospective members? Because if we don't have a clear offer of high perceived value, then what are they clicking on when they go to your ads? This is where you want to brainstorm different ideas and offers, and I'm going to expand on that a little bit later. But we want offers that have a certain structure about that, and we want to have high perceived value in that offer. So what can we offer in that initial introductory period? And then having messaging and creatives that align to that audience, okay? So what are some of the sort of messaging testing that we can do that makes sense to the audiences that we are talking to? And of course, creatives that align to those audiences. So again, if we are targeting women over 50, we want to make sure that we have creatives that align. If we show teenagers or girls in their 20s or guys in their 20s, of course, we're not going to have ladies over 50 resonating with those creatives, right? It makes sense, but you know, common sense is not necessarily so common, and you certainly see the wrong type of creatives with the audiences that people are trying to target quite often. Following on from that, we need to understand what's the client journey. So once they click on the ad, where are they going next? So what's the call to action? Are they learning more? Are they buying now? What are they actually clicking on? And where are they going next? Are they going to a landing page, the website, a calendar booking? Really want to map out that consumer journey, what happens after the click. And then themes and angles. So themes and angles is where we can have a lot of fun and really be creative. I'll use an example. We worked with a cycle studio. They were sort of a high energy. They sort of cycled to the beat of the music. And so the theme that we came up with was ride the rhythm, right? It was all about the vibe. It was all about the energy. So it's all ride the rhythm. And then when we created an offer, it was a 14-day ride the rhythm experience. And that absolutely flew, generated a lot of leads and a lot of opportunities. So really really getting a feel about the color and vibe of our creative campaign. So that's where you can have a lot of fun. And I really encourage you guys to just think outside of the box and be different. Be different to everyone else, because 90% of the people are doing the same thing. You can actually go and take that next step and really be different, because different stands out, like the woman in the red dress. We have to stand out. And then just thinking about objectives, right? So what do we want to achieve with our campaign? Like, is it a 3-month campaign, 1-month campaign? How many leads do we want? How many members do we want to convert from those leads? What's our overall budget? Really thinking about our numbers is super important. So we've got actually some method behind the madness, and there's some strategy there. And we're not just blindly just putting a creative out there or an ad for $50 a day and hoping for the best and then being disappointed that it doesn't work. It has to align to our objective and our goals. So we've done the research, we've done the brainstorming, we've done all that sort of hard work. Now I give you guys permission to actually go out and build your campaign. All right, so we've done all the heavy work, and this is where we just simply set up your ad to get it running, and we want to put it in front of your audience. That's what we're doing here. Very, very simple. So which channels? So I get asked this quite often. Which channels do we go to? Do we go to Google? Do we go to Meta? Do we go to YouTube, TikTok? There's a plethora of channels, and it can get really, really confusing. And so from my experience, Meta is definitely the best place to start to get the quick results for a lot of reasons for you guys. So first of all, without saying, of course, it's $2 billion, $2 billion active users worldwide. So it's a very highly used platform. So we can't really go wrong there. You can be highly targeted So you can be very, very targeted with ensuring that we are talking to the right type of people from a location perspective and demographics and psychographics. So you've got that interest-based targeting, which definitely helps you. But you've got a lot more creative capacity on the Meta platform than you do with Google. And Google can be a lot more expensive to get started. Typically, you need more than $50 a day, close to $100 a day to get started. TikTok, obviously TikTok is an up and coming platform, but your video creatives need to be super, super incredible to be able to get that engagement. And also the targeting options with TikTok aren't as narrow and detailed as Meta. So Meta is definitely the best place to start with your campaign. So definitely start with Meta. And so when we're thinking about building the ads, there's really 4 key elements, right? We've got our targeting, we need our offer, we need our copy, and we need our creatives. That's really what it all comes down to. Those are the 4 key elements. So from a targeting perspective, again, who are we talking to? And we know that now because we've got our audience groups, we've got our audience buckets already. So we can start setting up our ad sets and we know who we're talking to, the gender, the age, the location. Very, very simple. Then we've got our offer. So we're going to make sure that we refine our offer. Now with the offer, very, very important to have structure in that offer. And I'll use the example on the right-hand side here with the orange shoe. We have a 6-week Supermum's Strength Transformation program. All right. And so the offer has a structure in a sense of 3 key elements. It has a duration. So we've got that 6-week. So you want a 6-week, 14-day, that duration at the beginning. In the middle, we want a benefit. So we want a benefit or we want to highlight what it is. So here it is, it's Super Mum's Strength. So it's all about strength transformation. That's the benefit to the consumer. And then at the very end, we want a power word such as Kickstarter, program, challenge, these types of power words. Just finish off the way the offer sounds. It sounds a lot more enticing. And then inside the copy, you can include value stack additional benefits that ties into the offer around what the consumer will receive, such as a nutrition program, one-on-one personal training, support from the community. All of those value stacks would be included inside the copy. From a copy perspective, guys, you can keep things quite simple. And I recommend to start with using the AIDA framework for fitness ads. That's the AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, action. So if you put in your strategy information inside, say, ChatGPT, and I'll give you some frameworks later on, but if you put that information in ChatGPT and just simply ask it to write copy using the AIDA framework, it will come out with that structure to show you. And it works really well. It's tried and proven again. And we're simply grabbing attention. We're focusing on their interest, on their problem. We're honing in on their desire by linking their interest to the benefits of your service. And then we have an action at the end, a call to action by clicking learn more to grab that offer. One of the key points I'd like to make with copy, and this is super, super important. And again, everyone does this wrong. Big common mistake. Everyone talks about themselves in copy. 80% of the copy needs to be focused on the consumer. It's about them, the benefits to them, the problems that they're experiencing, and how you can actually solve their problems. Only at the very end of your copy should you start talking about yourselves and your services. All right. And you can expand more in your lead form and your website or your landing page. So really, please, when you're writing copy, just take a step back and make sure it is all about the consumer and we are trying to create that emotional connection to them. And then creatives. So last element is creatives. From a creative standpoint, you can use simple user-generated content. So what I call raw, unedited photos of your community and get, it's very, very simple photos that work. So smiling faces, group photos, people actually facing the camera, training together in unison, having a really good time for showing community outside of your facility as well. So don't get stuck by only showing images of inside the gym or studio. You want to show community outside. Like, do you have like a beach training session, or do you go out to the cafe in the morning after training session? You want to really show those images. Again, it just cuts through the noise out there and shows community, right? That's what people buy into. And then you can start doing things like what you see on the right-hand side, where you can combine those creatives with some editing with the offer. You can do animated GIFs and you can do videos as well. So there's a lot of different things to test. And it is all about testing a variety of things to see what works best for you and cycling through those creatives on a regular basis. Now, for the more sort of a little bit more technically advanced, if you guys already are building ads and you're familiar with the ad platform, this is just to show you a simple structure and an effective structure for a lead generation campaign if you are on the Meta Ads Manager. So you basically would have one campaign per offer. You might start at $50 a day. This is what I would recommend. And underneath each campaign, you have your separate ad sets. All right, so you have $50 campaign budget optimization, meaning we allocate that $50 across the full campaign. And underneath that campaign, we have separate ad sets for each of those audience buckets. We actually worked out who we're actually targeting earlier on. And with this example, that first ad set audience bucket could be just men between 30 and 50, and the second ad set might be females between 30 and 50, for example, right? So we've got our separate ad sets, and at that ad set level, of course, is when we do our gender, our age, and our location targeting, and any interest-based targeting as well. And underneath each ad set, simply 4 ads, all right? 4 different types of ad creatives. They could be different copy, different images, right? But all the same offer. And we have 4 ads for men, 4 ads for women, and of course, we have creatives that align to those ad sets. Any questions on this, guys? So this is really good. Just take a screenshot of this. If you are doing ads and you set up your campaigns like this, you're going to get some incredible results. And I'll talk a little bit more about optimization as well, which is the last step. Learn, and one of the most important steps, because if we're not learning from what we do, we're just simply not getting better. And there's that continuous feedback loop. So this is the final phase of the RBBL method. And when here, we want to see how the ad is doing and make improvements as required. And the reason is we just simply want to get better each time to get the best results, right? So as you guys know, not telling you something that you probably don't know, but marketing, of course, is a process of testing, learning, and optimizing. We're always testing, we're always learning, optimizing. We're doing that with all our clients every single day of the week. There's 3 core metrics that you do need to focus on, though, when it comes to optimizing your campaign, and that is CPL, CTR, and CPC. But the main one is cost per lead. CPL is your cost per lead. All right, because if our lead cost is too high at a certain ad level for a certain creative, we want to switch that off and we want to replace that with something else. Now, typical cost per lead that we would like to see is definitely below $30. What we like to see is in that $0 to $15 range is sort of your green, $15 to $30 is sort of your orange. So anywhere between 15 and 30, you're doing really, really well. You're well above the average, as I mentioned earlier on. The industry average is around about that $60, which is quite incredible, very, very expensive. Other metrics that you can look at is your click-through rate. So how many people are actually clicking through on your ad? We want to see that click-through rate to be around about that 2%, 2 to 3% would be fantastic. And your cost per click should be close to $1. If we can achieve $1 cost per click, you know that you're performing pretty well. And of course, these numbers will change from market to market as well. So that's not an exact number. You need to understand what numbers make sense to your business, your brand, and your market. And of course, different times of the year, based on competition, those will fluctuate as well. But really, really important, guys, to note that success comes from optimizing not just for your cost per lead, but for actual conversions that drive business results. And I'll use that example of the orange shoe. We actually had 2 campaigns running. One was the Super Mums that I shared with you previously, and the other was a strength and balance program. So we had 2 offers running. Now, the strength and balance program, they had lead costs around about $15, where the Super Mums campaign leads were about $25 to $30. But what we noticed is that the conversions for the super mums were a lot higher. They were actually converting about 25% from lead to member in that campaign. And so even though the cost per lead was a lot higher in that campaign, the ultimately we want to achieve is member conversions, and they were achieving that much better than the strength and balance campaign. So we switched that off and we optimized for the complete picture. And so really it's important to get a true understanding of the number of conversations that we're having, the number of bookings, trials, and of course, members that we're converting. Tracking those numbers is super important. So we're not just optimizing for cost per lead, we're optimizing for the full picture of what is going on. All
Michael,
right.
Bobby had a comment that I think could be relevant right now. So he wanted to know, how different does each ad need to be? And can they just change the visual and keep the copy, or keep the copy and or vice versa, keep the visual and change the copy? What's your recommendation there?
The recommendation is always test a variety of things. So if you go back to this particular setup example, each ad might have the same copy, right? The same copy variation, and they might all have different creatives. Or you might have all the same creatives and you might have 4 copy variations, so you can actually split test and work out which copy is most effective. All right, so you can eliminate very, very quickly by testing 2 or 3 different copy variations using the same creative. And then you'll know very, very quickly which copy is the winner. Then you use the winning copy, and then you continue to cycle through different types of images and videos alongside those, alongside the copy that is the winner.
Awesome, thanks.
Beautiful. So that is it, that we need to dedicate separate sessions for each stage in the RBBL method. Of course, the build and learn, that's a continuous process. That research is that first step, which will take a lot more time initially. Again, you don't have to do that every single time you create a campaign, but you certainly want to continue to learn and build and continue to cycle so we can actually get a lot better. And what it leads to is, smarter strategy gives you guys healthier ads. It leads to lower lead costs, higher quality leads. You maximize your conversions and you improve your lifetime value. Why do you improve your lifetime value? It's because we're attracting the right type of people into our facilities. It makes sense, right? They already have built they know, like, and trust you because you've created effective advertising campaigns. So you've educated that individual, and there's things around brand awareness that you can do as well with organic content and videos at a brand awareness level to educate your prospective members so they really know who you are, and you can build up that relationship online, if you will, before they even walk in the door. So if you do that effectively, you're going to, again, attract the right type of consumers that already know who you are, that built up that trust, and that's going to improve the lifetime value of those members. So guys, I'd love to know if you found any of this valuable. Please pop a one in the chat if you found some of these things valuable and if you feel like you can apply some of these things to your advertising campaign. Beautiful. All right, but before you rush, guys, into creating ads, I've got a few little ground rules that I'd like to share with you. Some might be familiar to you, some might be new, but especially if you are rushing into ads for the first time. All right, so rule number 1 is only run ads if you are creating and posting regular organic content. So if you are doing this on a regular basis and you've got a good suite of content and you're posting regularly on your organics, you will get better results on your digital marketing efforts. So your digital marketing efforts is the cream on top, but you want to be consistent with creating and posting regular organic content so you've got the right type of creatives that you can use on the ad platform when you get started. That is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is only use ads to scale your business, not save your business. So one of the common mistakes I see is everyone, like people rushing into ads thinking that's going to be the silver bullet solution to save your business, and you do not want to put all your eggs in the advertising basket. you really want to have, again, use ads as cream on top and do all the other things that you know how to do from a lead generation perspective, whether it's referrals, business to business, networking, all those other lead generation activities, organic posting, to generate opportunity for your business, and use ads to take that next step and really scale your business. Rule number 3, don't give up. So it can sometimes take time and repetition to be able to get the best results for your business. So it does come down to investing for success. So you do need to test a lot. So don't give up, because you can make it work for your business, for your brand, and for your market. There's no question if you do the right things and apply the right strategy. And rule number 4 is be prepared to work your leads. If you're not prepared to work your leads when they start flowing through, then what's the point of paying for those leads? So you're going to be prepared to call those leads in the first 5 minutes, double dial those leads, call twice a day for the next 7 days. And typically what we see is the best performing studios and gyms out there do 100 or more dials a day in total to their list. They're the most successful. That's, you've got to put the work in. People are busy, and if you don't reach out, they're not gonna call you. You've got to be the one that reaches out. And of course, use text and email follow-up using the Loyalsnap system. So you really want to leverage Loyalsnap to really work your leads as well. So speaking about Loyalsnap, and as I mentioned early on, I've got some great bonuses because you've invested the time. Not only because you've invested the time, but obviously in partnership with Loyalsnap, got some exciting bonuses for you guys. So here it is. We've got a QR code. So please grab your phone and scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to a Google folder where you can download all these cool things that you can use and apply it to your business today. We've got the 8 Profit Pillars Playbook, where we provide 8 core principles that you can learn, use, and apply to your business, such as offer creation that I mentioned earlier on, and really developing your USP, your unique selling proposition, which is super, super important. We've got an organic content playbook, which is going to help you effectively plan, create, and optimize organic content to engage your audience and drive conversions. We've got some video scripts you can use to film to create incredible content. We've got some winning ad copy frameworks you can use to create your digital advertising campaigns. I've even popped in a really awesome ChatGPT prompt that's going to help you build out some of your campaigns as well. And in addition, I've got a complete meta ads build video. It's live, showing how I actually build out a campaign. So you can follow step by step in your own home, build your own campaign exactly the way that we do it, so you can get the best results. So guys, please grab that QR code and download that today, and you're going to find that really, really helpful. Now, what's the biggest challenge that we have as business owners? What's the number one resource that we need that we don't have?
Time.
Time, exactly. So not enough time is the biggest struggle, right? So time to implement those effective strategies consistently to get those sustainable results. So since some don't have any time to implement those things, that's why Superfit Grow exists. That's why we exist, to buy back your time as a busy gym owner, so you can invest more time working with your clients and helping your members achieve the results that they want to achieve. And that's why Superfit Grow exists. We've helped well over 400 studios accelerate their lead conversions by increasing lead quality and reducing lead costs by over 50%. So that's what we do very, very well. And I've got some incredible bonuses for you guys today for joining on this webinar just for today. So if you wanted to get started with your own strategy with us, we can actually do that for you. So we can build that customized organic ad strategy, build creative and content strategy, quarterly promotion planning. You have your own dedicated account manager to talk about the performance of your campaign. You get your proven ad templates and creative strategies as well, and then weekly performance and reports, so you can really understand exactly how you are going with your campaigns. And in addition, what I'd like to do for you guys today is on behalf of Loyalsnap and Superfit Grow. We've got some exclusive bonuses as well, with additional sales training, portal access, an organic strategy guide, free video editing and content creation pack, and an additional $2,000 ad credit cash, so you can actually use that directly on your ads, directly to save some money and get some incredible results. So normally to get started for that 3-month program, it's 6,000, but today only it's 4,000 for that 3-month period. So if you do book today, grab that QR code, scan it, and book in, and you'll book a call with Trent. So you'll get on a call with Trent, who's one of our senior advisors, and he's going to analyze your business in depth and really explain the program in complete detail and work out what is the right strategy that it will align with your business and your brand. Following on from that call, you'll jump onto an onboarding call with Nelson or Charlotte. And on that onboarding call, it's again a deep dive into your business to understand your brand and your clientele, so that we have all the information that we need to build an effective strategy like we spoke about earlier on. And that strategy will be built by our marketing team over the next several days. You'll get that full design and editing through our creative team as well. And then in just 7 to 10 days, we'll launch your campaign. So scan that QR code and book today, and you can get started for only $4,000. But I'd like to spend some time here, guys. Really got a few more minutes. I think we've got a bit more time, Michelle. I'd like to open the floor for a few questions.
We do. And I also have a question about one of your first rules. The regular organic posting, what is your recommendation in terms of like habit building as studio owners? Like, what should we really try to do on a weekly basis? How many times per week should we be posting organically?
A great question. And of course, the obvious answer is the more the better. But if you're not doing anything right now, it's good to just get started. So start thinking about 3 posts a week and continue building from there. So, say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you want to be posting, 3 times a week. Then you want to move into once a day and then continue building from there. But absolutely, the more the better. From our perspective, we're posting at SFG, we're posting twice a day on multiple platforms. And that's a really good place, morning and afternoon. If you can get to that level, it's fantastic. It's not easy to do in the beginning. Just start with one. Ideally, if you just did one story, like definitely want to do a story, everyone's in those stories, and a reel would be perfect.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Do you recommend a social scheduler, or do you go organically and post, within each platform?
Yeah, good question. So I've done a lot of research on so many different types of schedulers out there, but I did a lot of research, and the one that we use and I recommend is Metricool. It's spelled METRICOOL, Metricool. Really cool, pardon the pun, really easy to use, and not expensive at all. Super, super easy to get started with.
Cool. I've not heard of that one. Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good, really easy to use. Any other questions, guys? Please, don't be shy. Any other questions around running ads, campaign structure, anything?
I think you've just been so comprehensive. You covered all of our questions.
Yeah, covered everything.
The quick question with the
There you
ad
go.
or the offer,
Sure.
how long do you test that offer out for before you realize it's not a good offer?
Yeah, no, it's a good, really, really good question. Like if you're experienced, you can actually see metrics pretty quickly, and in even 3 or 4 days, you can tell whether the offer doesn't work. But if you're not necessarily that experienced, you want to make sure that you do test a lot of copy and creative variations. So if you know that your copy and your creatives are really, really good, right? You're confident on that side, then it's pretty clear if your cost per lead is well above $30 and your cost per click is high and your CTR is really low, you can pretty much tell very, very quickly that it's not working, the perceived value of the offer directly correlates to your cost per lead, as you would know. So you could really understand that in once you've spent, say, $150 on a campaign, you could know pretty quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries, mate.
Kevin also wanted to see if we can go a little bit more in depth with the remaining time that we have on those ad sets.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any specific questions?
Kevin, I'm not sure if you're in a space to unmute, but feel free.
Yeah, actually it's Catalina and Kevin. Kevin is the gym owner and I'm the manager and I'm in charge of the ads.
Sure.
Amazing. Welcome.
So I'm not sure if I've gotten the green flag from Kevin, but if I did, I would have loved to show you the ad that I'm actually running because obviously I know I'm doing a lot of things wrong, and one of them is the ad sets. So I guess specifically, I'm running two simultaneous ads. One is for a trial. I did notice that one performs better than the other despite being the exact same offer.
Yep.
Um, we initially started with, a week trial for $29, and our cost per lead was pretty high. And then we switched it to 7 classes for
Yep.
$29. And the
Yep.
fact that it was specific and people could monetize the cost versus how many classes it was, then we got lower cost per lead. So that's been an ongoing offer, and that one continues to perform well. The only thing I adjust is the wording based upon the relevance. So for example, during the fall, I would just say fall into the best version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, get in 7 classes for $29. And now I'm doing into, cheer your way into a better you before the end of the year, 7 classes for $29. But somehow, even though it's still the ad that I've always ran, it's not performing as well. I posted it 3 days ago and I've only gotten 3 leads.
Yep.
And then the other one I'm running is actually a holiday detox plan, maintain no gain. So we're doing a 45-day offer for $189. And it's basically where you just train so that you're guilt-free during the holidays. You're enjoying yourself, you can drink, you can do whatever you want, but the goal is for us to support you to maintain where you are at without feeling guilty that at the next year there's resolutions and then you're having to start from scratch sort of thing. And that one has done zero performance. um I don't even think I genuinely understand ad sets. I'm just going to be quite frank.
That's
So
cool. No, that's cool. I appreciate you
I,
sharing.
I'm
What's your modality?
what do you mean by that?
What's your product? What's your service?
It's a gym. It's a studio. It's an F45 studio.
F45. Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
So, so a couple of things that come to mind, and I'd love to jump on a call with you, and I can sort of deep dive and give you some more feedback. We can do that on a separate session for sure. A couple of things that come to mind is, first and foremost, it sounds like you're running two offers at the same time, and unless you've
Mhm.
got two completely different kind of products or services that you're offering, my recommendation is to only run one offer at a time, and put your budget into one or the other, not split your budget against both, because they're sort of competing against each other with the same audience, if you will. So that would be my first thing. And the second thing is I would recommend, definitely coming up to Christmas and the end of the year, those long-term offers aren't as effective as short-term offers, because people are already thinking about Christmas, the holidays. They're not thinking about this sort of long-term program. So I would
Right.
focus on a shorter term offer. And then I would look at your offer, the way you're actually naming it. So if it's a 7 class for $29, how can we actually make the way the offer sounds a little bit more exciting? So it's like 5 class group training experience for $29, right? So you want to have that, or a body transformation Kickstarter or transformation Kickstarter for $29. So what is that complete offer? And if you just download that or that 8 profit pillars, and it will talk to you about the offer naming structure. If you follow that with your offer, that's already going, because 7 classes for $29, that's already a fantastic deal, right? That's extremely good. So there's nothing wrong with the price point there. We just want to make that a little bit more enticing. And I would recommend to also test with and without price as well. So, with price, you may get better quality leads potentially. Without price, maybe not so much, but it would be good to test one or the other and see what works best.
Got it. Okay. This helps me a lot already.
Perfect.
Michael, Catalina brought up like a topic that I'm curious on about. She's like, I've run this, it's been successful. Is Meta tracking like kind of like how old this ad is? Like, does it know that it's kind of giving it less eyes because it has kind of run its course? Is there some like
Yeah,
time boxed limitations here?
definitely. Good question. And one of the metrics I didn't actually put on here is frequency. So frequency is a really important metric to track. So frequency is how often the consumer has actually seen that particular ad in the marketplace. And if you think about local lead generation, we've got a small captured audience. Sometimes it could be as small as 50,000 people. Then it's very quick for that ad to be seen multiple times by the same person. And once they see that ad multiple times, they become desensitized to it. They've already seen it before, they scroll past. And so that frequency, if that gets above 3, right? So if they've seen it 3 or more times, that is an indication for us that that ad has fatigued. And what we would normally do is we would switch that ad off and would replace it with a variation. So it could be the same offer, but it might be a different color, creative, different style, creative to continue making it look new and fresh. So I hope that helps.
No, that does actually. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries, anytime. Like I said, more than happy to jump on a call with you and deep dive into your ad account and give you some more tips and tricks anytime. This is my direct email here. So just write that down and just reach out to me.
Okay, perfect. I will do that.
Awesome.
I think we're got time for
We
one
are.
more.
We're
We're right on time now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, we've got
Thanks,
this
Michael.
recorded.
This was awesome. Great content, great presentation, such good information.
Thank you,
And that
Michelle.
Google Drive is just like, gosh, like I'm very excited to dig into
There's
those
a lot
files.
in
So
there. A
appreciate
lot of good
it.
stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And appreciate the audience listening in and contributing. So we'll send the follow-up with the recording link and then all the contact details for you to reach out.
Incredible. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everyone, for jumping on. Wish you all the best.
Have a great one. All right,
Cheers,
you too.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Catch up.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.